They can never know. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them. It doesn't matter how many, you can draw a picture, you can make a goddamn feature film, and they would never totally be able to understand exactly what you're dealing with. So to confront that, you just give up. And you hide in the woods.
Come my way, sons of Yahweh, listen to my song.
Ever since I was a child, I was absolutely enthralled with the idea of combat and battle and war and the history of war and, all the rest of that. I played more war than anybody in my neighborhood. I was always that neighborhood kid that running around with the toy guns. When I was 18, I showed up to the recruiter, told him I wanted to join the infantry. And he told me I didn't want to join the infantry multiple times. And he showed me to the battalion commander or whatever they had there in the recruiting office. And he explained to me further that I didn't want to see, I didn't want to join the infantry because I was going to, and as he banged on his desk rhythmically, he says I was going to see some shit.
Sergeant Major fell.
I had a very hard time during the first couple weeks, months, maybe even year, adjusting to the fact that I was a civilian again. And then the obvious culture shock of being a college student and having to deal with, just 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids and walking to school every day because I was living close enough to camp so I could walk, and I got a little backpack on my back and I'm going to school, and it's like I should have a lunchbox with, mommy packed it, and my it's like fucking 7 months earlier I was like killing people, and now I'm like going to school.
What was the word again?
I like to go out and ride my motorcycle. I feel like that helps me clear my head a lot because it gives me something I need to focus on, and that's the only thing I can focus on or I'm gonna die. I think a lot of people around here don't even realize that there's like veterans that go to this school and stuff. My 20th birthday was in Afghanistan. We had a night patrol that night, and it was like a 10-click night patrol. So on this night patrol, and like every step, I'm just thinking like, man, I'm gonna fucking get blown up on my birthday. And I was just thinking that the whole time. People talk about like, oh, my birthday sucked, this year. I had to work or whatever. Like, really, you had to work your 4 hours at Foot Locker on your birthday? Like, I went on a goddamn foot patrol on my 20th birthday. I could have died.
In the public media today, we hear post-traumatic stress disorder, and people, unless you've studied it, don't really realize the depth of the impact on the individual and the human soul, as well as, our thought process, our behaviors, and our emotions.
When a guy dies, especially in combat, we cover the body up with whatever you got. It's just an emergency blanket or a fucking poncho or whatever else. You never get the feet. The feet generally splay to the sides. And that's all you see. You see the feet, and that's kind of your last image of your buddies that you have.
When I first got home, it was pretty bad. Actually, for a while, probably about 3 months, I could barely even fall asleep without drinking. There's no way I could live on Court Street because I wouldn't be able to sleep at all on the weekend, just from like people yelling. That's one thing that sets me off, or especially like during the day, if I'm just walking somewhere and I just hear somebody yelling, even if they're like excited, if it's from a distance and I hear somebody yelling, it instantly gets my attention, and I'm kind of like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Your brain is so conditioned from that stimuli because you've been trained for so long to react to those situations like that, that, things that sound like gunshots or explosions or whatever, it's really hard to turn that off.
The mythic reality of, yes, we're waving our flag and this is a good cause, you start questioning that when you see the atrocities that happen in war, when you see the bad things that happen to good people. Even our languages, we engage the target. We aren't trained to say, you're going to shoot a boy, or you're going to shoot a woman, or you're going to shoot a human being. You're going to murder somebody. We don't use that language in our training. Our training is mythical, and we're on automatic pilot.
We were on a presence patrol in Kanhar province in Zara district, and a motorcyclist came up through the middle of the convoy and touched himself off, blew the bike up, killed Reiners, killed Whitman, killed Pagan. I don't think you ever leave the desert. It's like a cage that you get stuck in, and you know, you gotta battle it out, and then when you get out, you know, you might physically be out, but mentally you're still stuck there, and you're gonna be stuck there. And it just gets to the point where you accept that that's reality, and you accept that that's the norm, and you accept that that's, you know, your life, and then you're never gonna get out of it. Like I said, you accept the fact that you're gonna die, and that's just the way it is, and you don't know when, but you accept the fact that you're gonna die, and you write the stupid letter to your parents and all the people that you love and care about, and you know, you just accept that that's the last thing you're ever gonna say to them. And it's hard, it's a hell of a hump to get over. That's probably the hardest thing you do in the entire, you know, time that you're in the infantry. But once you've gone past that point and you've accepted that I'm dead, then you're good. But you're only good for there. Because when you don't die and you come back, and you gotta live with the fact that you're not dead, and a lot of your buddies are, you have to confront the fact that a part of you left there with them because they didn't get to come home alive, and you know that there's, you know, a part of you that stayed there when they died and is never going to leave.
Dear Mom, the world is so much different here. Sometimes I feel as if I'm just living in a really bad dream. Things that would seem unimaginably unbearable back in the States become commonplace here. We have no way to watch television here, but knowing American media, I'm sure you've already heard. I do remember when he came back from Iraq the first time. It was kind of sad because he was sitting at the kitchen table once and he just started crying, and that was not like Eric.
He was here near the 4th of July. We walked around the neighborhood, and then coming back, one of the boys that he used to play with apparently set off a big firecracker, M80 or something of that category, and it just stopped Eric in his tracks. It was just like you hit him with a ball bat. It just stopped him.
You feel alone all the time. You understand, you come to an acknowledgement that no one else around you has any idea what you're dealing with. They don't have a clue. And for a while, you're angry about that. And you're really bitter about the fact that, oh, you know, these motherfuckers don't have any idea what, you know, I'm dealing with. And, you know, you're sitting in line in Subway and this douchebag in front of you is bitching because you put too much mayonnaise on his sandwich or something. And you're like, dude, you don't know what problems are. Like, you know, nobody in this place is wounded seriously or dead, or, you know, nobody's life just changed because they put too much fucking mayonnaise on your sandwich.
I don't really want to say that I have PTSD, even though I've been diagnosed by the VA, because of that huge social stigma that goes along with it. What a lot of people don't know about the VA is that it sucks. So they diagnosed me with PTSD or whatever, and then, which this kind of shocked me, is that they haven't really followed up on it at all. And this was almost a year ago now. But all they did when I went there was just throw drugs at me. And I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to figure this out on my own.
PTSD is too simplistic in its definition. It's listed in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders as an anxiety disorder. That's the category that it's under, anxiety disorders. Anxiety is only one piece of that. It is more in depth and more comprehensive in what it does to the human spirit. We are not ready for the numbers of veterans coming back from war to reintegrate them into our communities. We really need to train our mental health professionals to understand and recognize the cause of the symptoms that our veterans especially, but other domestic violence and all the other trauma victims have. is a direct result of the trauma itself. And you have to treat that trauma, and you have to treat the whole person with several different interventions. Where we get into trouble, I think, is we treat those symptoms with medications, we sedate people, and we don't get at the root cause, which is the trauma itself.
And you got to, continue moving. Yeah, they might be dead, but you're still alive. And that's the key. It's what you always have to keep in mind in combat, is that you have to keep breathing and you have to keep moving. And even if you're shot, you have to continue moving. And that's the lesson. I think it's the lesson in life, is that you have to keep moving. Combat brings out the most fundamental, primal lessons of life that you won't get any other way. And people can tell you that shit when you're a little kid. They can tell you it, while you're growing up a million times, and it never really sticks until it's life or death. And you realize that this is really what I have to do if I'm going to continue existing on Earth. I have to keep moving.